Let's not do that again.
Deja vu.
Yeah, really. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone here who has always dreamed of time travel, because you did just move a month in the blink of an eye. We went from May 12th to June 16th. So here we are, June 16th, and I am about to put my phone on silent.
Good plan.
Because we always do that, right? Right. Okay, we have some bad news. It would appear that Simon is lost in a Scrum meeting somewhere. We lost track of him about a week ago, and he's apparently not come up for air ever since. He walked into a Scrum meeting and just never came back. So if anybody is out in a boat and sees Simon bobbing out on the ocean, holding up his dash in one hand and his gopher in the other, please pick him up. In the meantime, we have a couple of fine gentlemen here from the Spanish community, from the Latin American community. Argel and Diego are going to be our guests, and we had originally tweeted out that Mariano Zorrilla was going to be here. Unfortunately, Mariano was not able to make it. The world of Flutter is very, very busy, and sometimes we get yanked this way and that. But Randall was able to make it.
We should introduce ourselves first, right? Like, who are you first?
Who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you? My name is Scott Stahl. I have been working with the Flutter community since about 2017. I started with Flutter in September 2017. I looked around and I asked, where are the Slacks and the groups? Where do people chat? Where do they work together? And someone looked at me and said, well, we don't have that. And I am greedy. I refuse to not live with those things, or refuse to live without those things. So I said, that's going to change. And a whole bunch of us got together and we built it, including our other two guests and Randall, who's been here since, my goodness, you've been at GDE since, I think you taught Moses Flutter, didn't you?
No. I only taught him Dart. Flutter wasn't around then. Had to wait for the new age. Yes. But I've been at GDE since before there was actually a title for Flutter GDE. By granted title, the interim was web. Somehow I'm a web GDE. I think they finally removed that off the website now. So I'm just a Dart and Flutter GDE. So, but back
people kept trying to get you to speak on web.
No, nobody cared. It was fine. But
I don't have one for Perl.
I am still on the mailing list for the web thing. I still get announcements and stuff for the web GDEs. Sorry, you guys. I'm just really don't have anything to do over there. It's not really my place. But yeah, I am always wanting to attend whatever possible. If you have a GDG that wants a Flutter speaker or a Dart speaker, please let me know. I'm pretty easy to reach. There's my over there. There's my Twitter handle, as well as many other ways. If you just simply Google my name has really high SEO. So thanks to the unique spellings of both my first and last name. But I've been in the industry now for over 40 years. So I've done almost everything. In fact, I was just telling somebody just a moment ago that back when I was first programming, we didn't have zeros and ones. We only had zeros. It was a lot harder.
Why do we have him on this program?
For the comic relief.
We need a relief from the comedy.
Yeah, that's what I do.
All righty. In the world of Flutter, I have been so head down in other work that I'm not even sure what's going on in the world of Flutter. Randall, you're constantly asking questions. You're constantly answering them too. And so what has been going on in Flutter this past week?
I don't know about this past week, but I patrol the 8 places that are listed at flutter.dev/community. I'm on all of them. So real easy to find that way too if you want me for your project or your meeting. What I've noticed a lot of is still this continuous confusion over I upgraded to Flutter 2 and now all my projects broke. And it's because they upgraded incorrectly. Flutter 2 doesn't mean non-null by default Dart unless you change something. All of your existing code, except for a few deprecations in Flutter and a very tiny few breaking changes, are the only things that should stop working. The modern Dart can emulate the legacy Dart code and read it perfectly. So there's no reason to do that. Yeah, that's been a big thing over the last few weeks, even because with Flutter 2.2, everybody was excited to like actually finally migrate. Now, the one change Flutter 2.2 makes is that when you create a new project, not when you're editing an existing one, but when you create a new project, it is now non-null by default, meaning that it creates it already expecting modern Dart. Whereas before, all the way up to Flutter 2.0, it was creating projects that used, I think, 2.10, one of the last legacy Darts as the min spec. So this has been a big thing, and that's also confusing people too when they create a new project. But you know, it's funny. You can go right in and change that 2.12 in your pub spec right back to 2.10. And if you have existing legacy libraries of your own, you can still use them. So it's not like you even need to downgrade Flutter for that. Why are so many people saying, I've got to find a way to run both Flutter 1 and Flutter 2? No, you don't. So don't worry about that stuff. That's probably the biggest thing. If you wanted the biggest thing of what I've seen over the last couple of weeks, that's been it.
Speaking of Flutter 2.2 deprecations, that reminded me, Kate Lovett had put out an email to basically the whole world of Flutter if you're following Flutter's public announcements. Mm-hmm. And it is basically, let me get this going here for just a moment. First of all, I will put this link in YouTube because it's way too long to
type off the screen.
No, it's crazy. Yes. Now, let's see if I can share this here for a moment, just so you can get a look. Now, boy, I hope you all can see that.
I can make it out, but I've got pretty good eyes. Oh, yes, this is wonderful, and this is linked to from the migrating page, so you can always find it there, too.
So this right here is a Google Doc that shows you what the deprecations are. And the reason that I bring this up is that some of the deprecations are reaching end of life. Okay, so these things that only had lines through them before, some of them are actually going to error on you now because they're going away. Don't say you weren't warned. That's what the lines were for. And the linter should have been telling you, hey, you're using something that's deprecated. And when you see that, don't ignore it because it means that's going to go away.
Right.
You want to, hopefully you can reach it by searching Google for Flutter deprecations removed. This is a publicly shared document.
Yep.
And I did post the link, which is really long.
Yeah.
So
that's a Google Doc.
That's going to show up in the video. So yes, that one is important to know. So there are a few other things going on that I'm aware of. There's a lot going on. Don't get me wrong. But I am not aware of everything, obviously. So let me see here.
There are some upcoming Dart changes that are in the works and close to landing, which are fun because Dart's already at 2.14. So we got in 2.13, we got type defs. In 2.14, we got some other procedural things that make things easier. They were esoteric, but I hear some stuff right on the border horizon that will be really cool. One of them will be tear off constructors, which right now you can't do. And if you don't know what it is, you're not missing it because you don't know why you would want it or need it.
There you go.
But Right now you have to fake it with a tear off factory method, I think, and it's a little tricky. You can't just use basic constructors for that. But so there's always stuff going on. I'm finally subscribed, or at least have a checkout of the specification GitHub. Boy, the changes that are being made and proposed and stuff for the forward-looking Dart specification. Those guys, there's some smart cookies working on that group. There's definitely some esoteric and interesting, but it makes a lot of things practical. I've been playing with various functional programming packages that are in the pub, and the amount of stuff they can do to get a really fully operational functional programming just using Dart's really wonderful type system, that it has just enough of the right things to be able to do really, really strongly typed functional programming, is pretty amazing, actually. So I'm excited by that.
Nice.
Yeah. I was also going to say the deprecations that are going away soon that you need to fix are all in the lint, so don't not pay attention to that. But one step beyond that, Flutter 2.2, when it builds a new Flutter repo with Flutter Create, also adds the new expanded Flutter Lens package, which is really, really dangerously cool, in that I didn't realize that I could add the word const 87 times to some existing code and get better performance because of it.
Oh, absolutely.
It will tell you const here, const here, const here. This could be const. Like
I
every
used to
time
use
you
one
write,
called Extra Pedantic, and I'll tell you what, it lived up to its name. Unfortunately, at least there was a gap there where it wasn't maintained. It might be maintained again, but I ended up stopping using it.
Well, Flutter Lens is maintained by the home team, so there's no problem with that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So one other thing real quick before we get to our guests, I do want to congratulate our own Kamal. What's up, coders? She is going to be speaking at the Farm Tech Conference, or I'm sorry, the FemTech Conference. Oh boy. Bad.
Not quite the same thing. Not even close to the same thing.
Oh, Rona, Danielle, Nawal, Kamal.
Yes.
Kate, Carolina,
Nilay.
How can I did not forget Nilay. I never forget Nilay. I was just saving the best for last.
Of course.
Hey, I had to save that situation. But hey, Kamal does a lot of great work on social media. So you want to check her out at What's Up Coders. And definitely interviews, all kinds of great stuff. So hey, speaking of doing great stuff, we have a couple of GDEs here. In fact, everybody here except me is a GDE, and that's pretty much my own fault. I've been kind of overwhelmed with a bunch of stuff and just have not gotten my packet put in. So yes, folks, with the North American region, I need to prioritize this. Anyway, let me welcome GDE number 2, Argel, and GDE number 3, Diego. So I am surrounded by Flutter GDEs. The expertise in this room is overwhelming.
Just keep thinking that.
That's something that usually happens. We're GDE. We're having catalog as an expert, but it actually, we're really good finding solutions. That's what we are. We're really
good with the Googles. Good with the Googles.
Yep. Yeah. So how are you? How have been? Haven't seen you in a while. Actually, Diego also. I talked with him, but I haven't seen in a while. How you have been, Diego?
I haven't seen Diego since New York.
Yeah, we met in New York. I remember. I can remember that. It was very, very funny.
Yeah,
it was a great.
We had a good time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I see you're working with the light side, and I'm working with the dark side.
Oh.
It's even got this little red light.
I put a tape. I put a tape here because people tell me that they were seeing a red light when I record the videos on my face.
So yeah. First of all, thank you for inviting us. I think this is pretty good. I mean, we haven't been in the same call for a while. Something in the Latin American side. I think we did something like December, if I can recall exactly. We did something there in December.
I'm in person or
No. Personally, I mean, yeah, I know. I think it was something like some event or some like all the changes that we have on Flutter last year. We did some like a collection of changes on December for Latin American people. Something like that. But yeah, just let us know what's the drill in here. What we had to do.
You might have been just having a
scary.
bad
I think next time I see Diego, he's going to be.
Yeah.
No, this is a fake background. This is a fake background, by the way.
Oh, okay.
No,
here I was thinking that you were making good use of the COVID stay-at-home time.
No, actually, this is real. I was joking.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I like to say this is fake.
Mine's real too. Yes, it's very real.
I see.
I don't have anything green, so I can't do that. What Scott's doing.
Yeah, the last time the people saw my background, they said, "Oh, Flutter for the kitchen." It was, I can't say anything else. So yeah, Flutter for the kitchen.
He's working on a new cookbook entry. Is what he's doing.
There you go.
The very excellent Flutter cookbook, and if you guys haven't checked that out yet, at least read the titles of everything in the cookbook. So you understand that there is a quick place to go to. You don't have to sit all day on one of the chat channels that I sit all day on to get an answer to something.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Is Diego training to beat Goku? Oh, and Robert says you are Goku. It's Diego's secret identity.
No.
So hey, guys, for about 2.5 years now, I think it was, we were, the English speaking side was contacted saying, hey, can we start translating all the content to Spanish? And we were like, yeah, definitely, please. And I know a whole bunch of it started to be translated, and then you guys kind of disappeared and built your whole own Flutter world. And the thing is that if you only speak English, you're missing out. There's a whole lot of great content in a lot of different languages, especially if you can read Chinese. You're in great shape. But also in Spanish. So, guys, what have you been up to for the past couple of years? What have you been building down there?
You go first. Yeah, you go first, Diego.
You can go first.
Okay. So I think mostly we have been mostly growing as a community. We, at the beginning, if you remember, like, I don't know, maybe when it was like we had the Zoom calls for a whole day, like 4 years ago around it. I don't know. We have a huge gap in between what is going on in Flutter English and Flutter Spanish. We have a huge gap in that. So in the last, I might say 2 years, 2 years and a half, as you say, we have been working in closing this gap to have same knowledge to have people in here. Now we have a lot of content in Spanish, a lot of people creating content also YouTube for whatever place that you can create content, and that has grow a lot right now. Like for Spanish, there are several groups. The Flutter Spanish group, we have more than 3,000 people in there. So there's a lot of people learning Spanish. Learning Flutter in Spanish. We have a lot of content. Many people is doing they like we saw years ago of deep dive for some specific. Now we have it also in Spanish. People talking about architecture, talking about animations. I'm gonna leave this topic to animation for Diego, but a lot of people have been doing a lot of really good job. So yeah, if I can say something, what we have been doing the last 2.5 years is closing this gap to be in the same place that the Flutter community in English is right now. It has been our focus for the last couple of years. I don't know if you want to add something.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the gap. Still, there is a gap between the languages, and I think I am or I am increasing the gap because I have a YouTube channel where I'm creating content. And my content is in Spanish, and the reason why I chose the language is because it's my natural language. Also because there are many content in English that people can benefit from that, but some people in Latam don't know Spanish and doesn't know Spanish. I mean, my English is pretty bad, I know, but I know that people can understand. The problem that I see that why I'm creating content in my language is because I see many Flutter channels in English that are creating very good content. I see Pawan, and we have the Flutter community of we have Robert, Tadas, and many good YouTubers that are creating awesome content. I was thinking about why I can create the same content but in my language, so people from Latam can be benefit from that. But I received a lot of comments from different people who doesn't speak Spanish, who said every day I said the comment, can you create the same video but in English? And well, that's a lot of work. I have a full-time job, and I am using YouTube just as a hobby there, and showing the content, the knowledge that we have in Flutter, and translating to that video. But that's it. About documentation or Medium posts, I think we are reducing the gap because more people can read or write English. The problem is with the listening, speaking. That's the most difficult part for people, I think. But I'm not sure what we can do with that. Maybe YouTube can help us with some kind of artificial intelligence, translating the language with voice. I'm not sure.
But there was something when we were all at I/O, long time ago now. If you remember, during the keynote, they showed this thing that can do live translations, okay, in your language or even in another language. And I wonder if the key might be to see if there is a way for YouTube. Can YouTube do automatic captions in a different language? So that's a possibility.
It does.
It does it already. Because I have seen Diego's videos, and he told how to create this, how to activate this, and they do the translation by itself. But I don't know, maybe people actually want to hear him. I'm not sure. But sometimes the translation can be different or hard because this is not natural language. We're talking, and you go there and take a widget, and so the translator is getting confused because it's not a talk with someone. You're talking about language programming, and then you use final to declare this variable. This translation says anything that is not, because in Spanish this says declaras una variable final, so it's going to sound pretty different, and they're going to try to translate it, and they're going to do a mess up translation so people can get confused even with the English subtitles in there. But this is already done, but it kind of hard to achieve a really good translation for Spanish to English with being as a machine, right? This is not so regular.
Kind of hard for humans too sometimes.
And
aprendo español poco a poco.
One thing I do want to point out for everybody who's watching, let's go. Sometimes there's packet loss. Okay. This is the internet. Just suck it up and deal. But to give you an idea, let's all let everyone know where we are, because I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, which is basically the middle of the United States, up by Canada. Randall?
I'm in the normally wet Pacific Northwest. It rained a little bit yesterday. Looks like it might be a nice, no, it's a gray day. So it's going to be not a great day, a gray day. What the hell things on that. But I've been all over the world, so I've definitely seen a lot of stuff.
Diego?
Maybe you've been in your countries.
My country is, I'm not sure. It's what is the weather there? I don't know.
No, where are you right now?
Sorry? Nobody.
The place where you're living, the name is Peru.
Peru?
Peru.
Peru. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about the weather. Yeah.
Yes. No, well, that too. But if you're not
Ronald goes to the end and get back to say the answer to the wedding. Yeah, they were asking just for that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he's in Peru. I mean, I'm gonna let you talk to you, Diego, because it's your place. I just help you out a little bit.
Yes.
So where's that kitchen at, Argel?
Oh, this kitchen is in Mexico. I'm in Sonora. It's a state nearby Arizona. I'm like from 3 hours in car driving for the United States. So pretty nearby.
Nice. Now, at the risk of destroying our E rating, I happen to live in Arizona for 12 years. So it's right there by Sonora. And I'm telling you, Sonora's got the best Mexican food. But because they're all different all over the country.
Most of Mexico
even more
has the best
importantly,
Mexican food.
Here's the really important thing, though. Okay, if you want to get a good bottle of tequila, you go into Sonora and you drive down a dirt road and you look for an old man sitting next to the road with a shovel. That's where you find the good. He digs it up out of the backyard because he knows where all the bottles are that are the oldest. There goes our E rating. So,
yes. Okay. As the time zone geek here, I also have to say that one of the unusual things about Sonora is that it respects the Arizona time zone, which of course doesn't change for DST. And I think it's the only place in Mexico that doesn't do a DST, at least at one time of the year or other.
Yeah, we never move our time zone.
Yeah, no DST. And that's the way it should be everywhere, if I could put in my plug for that.
No.
Yes,
Randall, I will mute you. If Randall gets started on time zones, we're never going to stop. Hey, let's instead of talking about time zones,
we have some
why
questions.
don't we talk about durations? And so durations, let's steer this conversation. Diego, you do a lot of work with durations and animations, right?
Yeah. You want to talk about duration on Flutter?
Just animations in general. I'm trying to get away from time zones.
Okay. Well, animation is a complex topic when you don't know how to do the basic. I mean, because when I started with animation, I saw the Matt's YouTube channel when he had a Flattery YouTube channel, and I was inspired from that channel. I saw the animation that he made on that, and I was impressed because it was very difficult for me at the beginning. I didn't know how to start with animation, and what I did, just practice. It's just a matter of practice. If you practice every day, if you try to do any animation, if you challenge yourself, it will be very easy at the end. So it's just practice. Reading the documentation. There are many content in YouTube now that you can benefit from that. We have some course.
One of the videos I wanted to recommend was there's a creative, or maybe not, I forget his name, something like that, and he did this remarkable animation for the clock challenge a couple of years ago. I wish they'd do another challenge. We should let the Google people know that they need to do another challenge. But the clock challenge was amazing, and a lot of crazy stuff came out of that, especially in the area of animation. But he actually dissected what he did for his remarkable entry. And that was a great video for me to learn something about animation. But
another thing I loved about that challenge was I know somebody who had been doing Flutter for a week.
Yeah. Wow.
And they were just trying to put out something just to enter because they wanted to be able to enter.
Mm-hmm.
They knew they weren't going to win, but the point was to complete it.
Yeah.
There's a sense of pride there. And I remember that I had been speaking at an event the day before the deadline, and we ended up sitting up on Zoom with me helping coach them through. And we got it done. They got it submitted around 1 o'clock in the morning. It was all good.
Yeah. What happens also start happening in the last couple of years is so many other places are looking for Flutter developers in Latin America. I'm talking about places in Latin, right? Because there are places in the United States and Europe looking for Flutter developers, go to Latin America and ask for developers, and that's the usual way it happens. But what's happening right now is people in here is looking also. So, or they're in here working for places outside, but there's a local Latin American business, right? And they are still looking around. Oh, how can it start? Well, I can ask many times. I think also Diego and myself, we have been like, oh, can you teach us something? And like, yeah, we can. I mean, I get into this because I'm seeing some comment in there asking to Randall how he learned, and this is always, and it's always going to be the same answer in any place you ask it. You need to go and look documentation. You need to go and read flutter.dev, dart.dev, and go to the channels and read because people want to, like, this is not a magic way to learn, right? Is you need to, as Diego says already, you need to go there and do it like Diego made these animations, spend a lot of time, and then you want to like, okay, I'm gonna watch one of the Diego's videos and now I'm gonna learn animation, and actually you don't because this solution is gonna work for that specific animation. If you have another one, if your clients reach you out and tell you I need this, it's not gonna give you Diego's one. It's gonna give you another one. It's gonna be working in another place. That's why you need to go the basics, the ground rules, how to manage, what does a controller do, what is the base animation that you have to do. Diego have a video, I think I saw it, it's like a shaker, right, Diego? And you're using this animated tween, and that's it. He's not using any other no animation controller, no, but you need to know what to do. So what you have to do, go there, learn basics, go to documentation. There are many amazing people in there. You can talk like Diego says already some. You can have also Razor Coder, you can go field stacks, you can go all over the place to an English content, right? Because we're talking English. So, yeah. But it never just look at it. It's not enough. You need to go there and fail. So you go back and see the video and then go back and fail. And someday it's going to work. That's how we do it. I think maybe all of us is how we do it. We fail and learn from there.
Yeah, you won't learn anything really in depth unless you're doing more than just reading and watching videos. You have to try something, because the moment you start trying it, you'll realize where the edges of your knowledge are. And then learn to Google well. Or if as a second step, go look at one of the 7 places on flutter.dev/community. And I'm in all those, so I know people are always asking questions about stuff, and I'm one of the answerers there, just by choice, by almost by definition, since I'm a GDE. But I like answering questions because partly it also means I learn too. There are times when I'm sitting there staring at a question on a chat room somewhere, and I am Googling in the background, trying to figure out what the answer is to this person's question. And so I'm learning too, completely with this stuff. I learned a lot about animation over the last couple of months because I wanted to make a little widget, a little screen display that had stars moving across from the right to the left of the screen. So I did it the right way, right? Okay, yeah, from the right to the left of the screen, behind a message that's announcing how soon it is before my brother retires from teaching school for 33 years. So I wanted to have that there. I wanted to do it, and I just wanted to do it. And so I learned all about Canvas and learned about computing things at various times, using animation of various kinds. But in the end, it was done, and it was great, and it was fun. I just did a screencast on it yesterday. So if you go to my channel, which I'll put up in a moment in the chat room, you'll see that the most recent video is me celebrating my brother Ron's retirement, but it just has a nice little display in the background with stars in random spots and different sizes and heading slightly different directions. But you only learn that by doing it.
Yep, and that's it. I've worked with teaching on 3 different levels. One is just giving talks. Another one is actually training people to do something or trying to. And mainly the other thing too is I've been through training that was a bit more focused. It was professionally done, so I was being paid to do it. So you actually really buckle down and focus on it. Whereas the difference between that and the other training that I'm talking about when I say I try to, these are workshops that are free, and you can't really focus with the intensity you can when someone is doing it as a profession, because I did it in the military. So when they say, we're going to train, you're going to train. Whether you like it or not, you're going to train. Whereas you can't take that attitude with a hobby. And where I'm going with this is the major difference is people always say, you got to do it, you got to do it. That's not quite all the story. If you do it one time and it works, you're not going to remember it. If you beat your head against it for 3 hours, okay, you get frustrated. You have to get up and walk away, and you fight it, and you Google through 10 stupid pages. Believe me, when you figure it out, you're never going to forget what finally worked. And that's what's called experience. I have a saying, you can measure wisdom. Okay. All you have to do, you get a set of calipers, okay, a micrometer, and you measure the callus on the thickness of someone's head where they've been beating their head on the desk, okay, because the skin gets thick.
Yes.
And this is how you learn. So really, when you're failing, you're not failing. What you're doing is you're setting up a situation where you're not going to remember. You're not going to forget what it was that finally fixed it. And one technique that I've learned that really helps, if you beat your head against something for too long, you end up getting a block that you can't get past. But if you just go and Google it right away, then you might not remember. So if you're having trouble with something, there are apps on the phones. If you're using Android, Get Timely. It's an awesome app. And start a stopwatch. It's like, I can't figure this out. Okay, start a stopwatch. 10 minutes. That's what you give yourself. 10 minutes to look at the documentation and use control space to see what your options are, and a lot of times, and beat your head on it. But when 10 minutes is up, go for help. Start heading to Stack Overflow, start heading to Slack. Get the answer from somebody else at that point, because if you keep beating your head against it, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to go backward.
And also look at all the wonderful examples in Pub. There are some wonderful animated stuff in Pub, and the source is all there. I learned most of what I learned in programming languages by looking at other people's code. I will say, bar none, it is the number one way I've learned things about coding. And look at other people's work. This is so amazingly rich because somebody has solved a problem that you might want to solve.
Even though sometimes we think you can learn also how to not to do something, right? It's weird, but because you are seeing something, and I have been there looking into the code for someone, and then, well, this is the worst way to do it.
Now, which means you got it off of Stack Overflow.
Yeah, usually.
So it was like, okay, or you can learn how to do it, or you can learn how not to do it, but you learn something, right?
Yeah.
So this is the most relevant. But you don't have to just, if you see it in the computer and you're watching videos, or you're watching this Udemy or whatever other places where they have tutorials in there to learn, you can have the certificate, you can pass the test at the end, but that is going to be disappearing in a week because you are not doing it, you are watching it. It's different. You need to go there, and you need to bang your head with your desktop, and you need to go there, and you need to go and dream with code and get a solution in your dreams, because this happens. We all are developers, and we know you woke up one day with a solution.
Nightmares.
So this is always going to be a place where you can learn how to do or how not to do stuff. I have seen packages, I have seen code, and someday one was a guy, I think, he sent me a message, I'm doing this and it's not working, and I look into the code. Where in the world do you watch that? This is awfully badly done. This is not bad. It's so much awful. So he doesn't want to tell me where he find it. So I really don't know. But yeah, you need to be sure that where you are learning something, you need to be sure it is good practice or bad practice.
One of the quickest ways to discover that is that go post your code, at least a small chunk of it only, please, not the whole thing, in the Discord. The channels there have a lot of experts hanging out. And boy, if you have anything that's slightly off whack, this
is the Discord that you get to by going to the Flutter.dev community site. I know we've got that. There it is. By going to that site right there. And just a few different things actually I've been thinking about here. For one, you're talking about dreaming and talking about people wanting to tell you that your code's not good. I have both those things together, okay? Because I've been in Zoom with Simon for about 3.5 years now. And there are times when I will dream that I'm holding my laptop and I'm running. And Simon's behind me saying, no, we need to refactor this. We need to refactor. No, stay away from my code.
One of his favorite words, refactor.
But oh goodness, what was I thinking here? For one, real quick, that's just easy. Raph, keep it up. I'll make you use an NVIDIA card. Raph doesn't like NVIDIA. Long story. But also, for tips for people who are learning, here's one that actually really, it makes perfect sense. But it was a long time before I realized it. You know, more than likely, if you've been around Flutter for any length of time, that you can do edge insets only, which is top, bottom, right, and left. And you can set them individually and differently. Did you know that you can set border radius only? You can do the radii of every corner different. Now, trick, all 4 border sides have to be the same before you can apply a radius, or it will fail. But you don't just have to use corner radius or border radius all. You can set them individually. You can also set them symmetrically. And when you play around with doing them individually, you can get all kind of interesting, crazy things happening. So you can play around with that one. And then, Diego, how can we animate those? do you want to animate those? But would you try animating those with a controller and formulas and functions, or would you do it through an animated container?
Why I use animation container, or why not?
No, I'm saying which one would you use? Would you do it manually with a controller in math, or would you use an animated container and just change the values of the radius?
Well, it depends what we want to achieve. If it's a simple animation, I just use animated container. I use implicit animation. But in the case the animation is more complex, has different timing, I will use an animated controller. And I will like to talk about animation because I'm not sure if you try doing animation on Android on iOS before Jetpack Compose and Motion Layout. Animation in Android was very difficult. It was very time consuming. And imagine do the same for Android, and the animation is complete. You did a really big animation, and now you have to do the same but on iOS, and it will be very difficult to keep the animation be the same, and it's kind of difficult. And now in Flutter, the API Flutter made the API very easy to use, and of course we have the benefit of the hot reload. So if we fail, we can just hot reload and we can continue developing. We don't have to stop and restart the application. That's the benefit that we have as a Flutter developers, right?
Yeah. It's I do want to say in my animation exercise, it was really nice to have been able to understand how to use the canvas manipulations. Like I have seen too many bad tutorials do all this stuff with sine and cosine and stuff. And you don't need to do all that. There are actually primitives baked into the Dart UI library. If you look up offset and size and rectangle and a few other things, they basically can do all the interesting math. So you don't have to do multiple scalings and things like that. It's all built in. Please go look at the protocols for those things before you start.
Flutter.
Yes.
Mobile for lazy people.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah. So talking about this topic of animation stuff, that's what I told you. I have seen people doing like animating a container, and they use animated controller to change the shape of it. So it will depend. If you want to have more control of the animation, you want to start all over in different times, or you want to go forward and backward and repeat it. So that's why you need a controller. If you just gonna you want to do the init state and start, and it want to end it. If you want to need anything else, you don't need the controller. That's why you have implicit animation, you have transitions. But because many people get confused between when I do have to use a controller. Well, you want to control the animation, so you use a controller, right? It's just using it and showing it, and that's it. You could be implicit animation, you could use transitions, you could use a specific animated tweet. So like we were working in what I work, we asked to animate the number, right? It was a duration. So they gave me the seconds, and I had to move this and put hours, minutes, and seconds. It's a countdown, right? So they give me the initial value, and I have to move it. And I was thinking I had to use a controller, and I said, why? Why do I have to use a controller? So I use an animated twin. I use an int twin. I set the initial value to the top and the end value to 0, because it's going to get to 0 and it's going to end it. And the animated twin take everything and do everything. I don't have to do anything else. I don't need an animating controller and in its state and set it as curve that linear. I don't have to do anything else. It's just sweet, like 10 lines of code because I have too much commas in there. But it was a really short code to achieve that. The work was set like for 2 days, and I finished that like in 30 minutes tops. But you need to verify if the solution that you are trying is the best. But this is going to have this, as Scott said, with experience. Because maybe you can go there and create an animation controller or whatever. Yeah, it's going to give you more control, but do you need it? That's the main question. Do you need this animation? Do you need? So that's this. This is what you're going to be learning in time, right? I don't know how much time do we have.
Whenever you want.
We've got a little while, but
okay.
I do want to answer a couple of questions real quick.
Right.
Let's see here. I think we're being fed one by Mr. Reality here. Bye, Raph. And what happened was the chat moved just before I clicked it.
Right.
So from your years of experience, what would be a good roadmap for a beginner? Well, first of all, the link is in the chat. And second, there we go. This is the highly subjective Flutter roadmap. There is no absolute answer to the question, but you won't go wrong by following this. Okay. No one's claiming this is perfect, but it's really good. It really is. So you might want to check that out there. And just in case, there's the link.
Yep.
So that right there is a great place to get going with that. And let me see here. And again, that link is in the chat. There was another one. We get this kind of question all the time. And there you go. Riverpod or provider.
I've answered some of that in the chat.
Here's the thing, okay? And it's funny. There are two main authors involved in a lot of this state management stuff. One gentleman wrote probably the simplest and also most complex, and that's Brian Egan. The most complex one is Redux. That will make you cry. But there are times when you need it. There are times when it's the right way to go. But you'll still cry. And I'm sure Brian's laughing. He also wrote one called Scoped Model. And the reason Scope Model is important here is it is the absolute simplest to use. I guess you would say abstraction of inherited widget. It's so easy to use, it's crazy. And then, but it's kind of limited in what it can do because it's so simple. Then on top of that, the next one you have is Provider, which is moving along in that same direction of how you use it. And it gives you a lot more capability. And then, but Provider's got certain limitations. So the author of Provider, Remy, turned around and created Riverpod to overcome those limitations. So really, if you're on a learning curve, take a couple hours and learn Scope Model, and that's going to set you up for and get you to understand the approach. Then you can bounce right into Provider, and you'll probably learn that in another couple of hours because Scope Model will have set you up for it. Going from from Provider to Riverpod's a little bit more complex because it's changing. It's changing the way you're passing things down. Instead of just passing it down in the widget tree, now you're passing it down like in the entire app, in and out of the widget tree, which helps it overcome some of the limitations. But at the same time, I wouldn't try to dive straight in to Riverpod. But in the end, that's probably going to be the best solution. And Remy wrote Riverpod and Freezed and Hooks and State Notifier to be used as a system.
Yes.
So you don't want to just say Riverpod. You want to look at all four of them because they all do work together like a band. You know,
the
person,
Remy ecosystem.
Yeah, it's music by Remy.
Yeah.
There you go.
He got the band back together. And I'll agree with almost all that. But now that there are multiple big-time screencasters that have done tutorial shows, lengthy tutorial shows using Riverpod, before that happened, like a year ago, I was hesitating on saying go to, because there's tons of videos on Provider. I was saying go there first. But now I think you can start almost day one with Riverpod now, with the amount of good tutorial information that's out there.
Nice. So, okay.
Do you want to say something before Diego? I mean, I know you're a quiet guy. He's a quiet guy, and I never stop talking. So I just want to I get what Rondell says, but sometimes what's happening is with stage management, people want to learn one and never moves, and this is not something that's going to happen, because you can love anyone. You can love Riverpod, you can love Provider, Redux, or GDEs, or whatever, right? But by the end of the day, sometimes requirements need another one that you don't know, right? So that's the only thing that what I can think Randall differently, Randall, because if you do know stage management, not a package, you need to understand stage management, then go wherever you want.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, or months ago, I can't remember, someone asked me which is you prefer. The one that works, okay? I don't really have so what is the issue? I do prefer to understand stage management, how it does, and when you're going and moving in between stage management, one day all of those existing there became one. You will need to know the syntactic sugar for each one of them, but all of them are going to be doing the same, because they are working on top of Flutter and they're working in any widget. So all of them work the same. The only difference is the syntactic sugar on top of it, and that's it.
And for me, I prefer the system of whatever the client is paying me to work on. That's always the number one rule. Yes, that's my favorite one right now. Between the hours of 4 and 6 today, yes, I'll be working with Provider.
Well, and we should all send our sympathy and our condolences to hell. I will wait until he's finished drinking before I say this, because I know for a fact he has worked on at least 2 apps that use Redux.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, they choose that, and maybe we can change it later. Wait, no, you can change this now. It's way too big. It's have too many stuff, and it's way too verbose. So you are stuck in here, man.
Well, that's another very interesting thing. Once you pick a state management system, you are usually stuck with it unless you made the mistake of using like set state everywhere, in which case you can probably fix.
I don't like it. People like in Redux. I have been in some places that they use in Redux, and then get this and send just the view model to another child, and then instead using set state. I actually don't like that, because you have issues to reflect the changes to the state, because you're using set state in here, and they are not being communicated in between that. So that's bad way to use Redux. Even though it could be very verbose, it's better to have your store connector in there.
Well, and that's but one thing real quick for people who, and we have to remember, not everyone understands what we're talking about at times. For those of you who are not familiar with Redux, and especially may have come from the web, the state of your application is basically like, if you have a fleet of cars, is car number 1 yellow, is car number 2 green, car number 3 is broken. This is the state of everything. And you have to manage how you're going to juggle all this and make sure all the different parts of the app know what they need to know in order to do their job. And when something changes, how do you update that? Redux, one of the core principles of Redux is there's a single source of truth, which basically means every single thing in your app is kept in one central knowledge repository, one state object, which is called the store. Now, and the thing is that they can only be changed in one place that's very tightly controlled. It is a mess to set up. It can be a nightmare to try and work through. However, when something goes wrong, it becomes very easy to solve the bugs because there's only one place anything can be changing anything. Unless you screw it up and start changing things out in your UI with set state, which you are not supposed to be doing if you've got everything in the store, which is what Out of Hell was just saying.
Yeah. I mean, another topic, I mean, is a hot topic and always going to be in the next year is about null safety stuff. People get scared about null safety, and also people migrate pretty bad null safety. So I want to say something because I don't know how much time I'm going to be here. Is if you're going to do null safety, you're going to migrate your app, take your time. Don't want to get it and put it and change and add banks and all over the place. That's the worst thing that you can do. That's my only advice on that topic. Do not use a bank sign. It's bank sign, right?
There are a couple times that you have to, though.
A couple.
Especially, with lists. With lists. Even if you initialize your list so it's not null, it doesn't matter. When you try to use it, the code is going to say, hey, this could theoretically be null, so therefore we have to check. But one of the easier ways to deal with this a lot of times is just give your code an initial value so that it can't be null. Even if you just give it a default value. Simon was talking about that one time. The number one thing that a lot of people do with null is when you do a Firebase auth. Logged out means that the user is null. Well, okay, fine. It doesn't take that much to turn around and create a fake user named XXXXX. Mm-hmm. And if user equals XXXXX, or if user ID equals -1, right, then state is logged out. It doesn't have to be null. It's just when that user logs out, you turn around and make the logged in user your dummy. So sometimes that's the better way because you want to avoid null as much as possible. You don't want to just throw bangs all over the place and have it be checking for null, because you're going to end up with null pointer exceptions, which is the whole point of null safety, is to stop that from happening. If you throw a bunch of exclamation points everywhere, you're defeating the whole purpose.
Every exclamation is moving something that could have been detected perhaps at compile time to something that will be detected at runtime.
Yep.
I mean, it's a huge topic. It has a lot of stuff in there. It's just saying that the thing that you need to avoid is keep your bang at minimum.
Yeah.
That's the main issue. You can not use late final. You can avoid it, use it or not. It's better if you use it. You cannot use this, but the bangs is a really bad idea. Use it everywhere.
But you will find that you cannot get away from them a lot of times at the end of a square bracket for a list, and that it can be frustrating because even if you initialize it, as I said, even if you put something in that list from the very moment you create it, the compiler is still going to say, theoretically, there might not be something in this element. So therefore, we need to check it.
We have guests from LATAM on, and I wanted to go a little further into like the employment scene down south of us. The U.S. had a sharp spike up in Flutter hiring about a year ago. And I think that was it coincident with the Flutter 2.0 announcement? That would only been 3 months ago. Maybe it was there. I think there was a spike up there too.
Yeah, well,
there was another big one with I.O. too.
Yeah, and I.O. helped as well, and bringing out 2.2 and things like that. Have you noticed a similar ramp in LATAM these days, or is it still just slowly catching on compared to the rest of the world?
Diego, you're supposed to be talking, not drinking.
Sorry. So we're talking about state management.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Just use
no. Wait. We were a few minutes
Trabajo y
ago.
dinero.
So
Yeah,
no,
sorry.
we were talking about how the chart for jobs in Latin America have been growing since the last year with Engage and the IO.
Yeah, I saw many companies here in Peru that are starting using Flutter, and but that's because the great community that we have here in Flutter Peru, because they are spreading Flutter through different meetings, and that's the way how we can engage more users or companies using Flutter. But yeah, many people for personal project and for startups too are start using Flutter, and of course many companies that provide outsourcing are using Flutter because that's the trending right now.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I do prefer Diego talks about this because he's actually in a different place than I am, but we are pretty far away. Because as being neighbors with United States, Mexico, we move with the United States chart. Because actually, if you look at the map, North America, it takes Mexico and United States. So that's why for us in Mexico, many people from Mexico works for the United States companies. So the way this chart moves for United States, it moves for Mexico. So it's what is going to be changing. Oh, if you speak Spanish, in English, you can have a job there. That's the only difference. But if it moves like that, and if not, you can have like subcontract for another business. You don't need to speak English, but it keeps moving with United States, right?
Okay. And so you guys down there should have more GDG meetups so I can come. I'd be happy to join in. Please have the meetups. Mostly all virtual these days for now, until post-COVID.
Nice. Speaking of Flutter jobs,
okay,
we do have a recruiting firm that specializes in Flutter, High Digital, and our main contact there is Chloe. Chloe Napper. You can find her on LinkedIn, and this is going to be one of the best places to find Flutter jobs. Okay, and of course, everybody wants to get paid, and this is one of the best ways. She has been working with us for quite a while, and believe me, High Digital is all in on Flutter. So you can go ahead to LinkedIn, check that out, reach out to Chloe, tell her I sent you. And actually, we will be having her here on the show again. She has been on before. I was hoping to get her on today, but actually she's somehow managed to get a day off. I don't know how that happened.
How?
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Yeah, just for ending this on my side, I want to add something about null safety and courses that exist right now. I have been reached out by a few people that they tell me, "Oh, my code is not working. I'm watching a tutorial. He's doing the same thing that I did. I also copied the code." All the courses are deprecated. All the courses since 2.0 was released are deprecated because the code that it was working there is not going to be working now.
Yeah.
So since this year, all the courses done from 2020 and back are deprecated. So just be sure, his code is not working. Maybe it works, but you have to do the migration for 2.0. Right?
I use 6 months as my rule of thumb. Any video that was published more than 6 months ago is almost certainly not going to respect null safety. Yep. Another quick check is if they ever say @required.
Yes.
As soon as you see that, you can just shut that puppy down.
And remember, this is not about Flutter 2 or Flutter 2.2. This is about Dart 2.12 and beyond. Required no longer requires the annotation @ symbol in front of it. So if it just says required with no @ then you know it's null safe. If it says, if it has the @ there, nope.
Yep. A good piece of, that's a good litmus test. There, that's the phrase I was looking for. But
so hey,
sorry, go.
So what has been going on in the Latin American community, let's say during COVID? How have you guys been holding up down there and keeping things going in general?
Okay, I could start with that. Well, we stopped doing in-person meetings, but we decided to move to YouTube for doing a live meeting. So we engage more people, because more people from Peru, different cities from Peru, can join to our talks, or different countries. But it's not the same as when we have a meeting in person, having some drinks, food.
Yeah.
But that's the way how we are doing now. But I'm not sure, because it's very weird. Because there are many videos now in YouTube that people sometimes are bored to just join to a specific meet and see the video in real time. So they prefer maybe to see the video in another time when they are free. But that's the way how we are doing now, giving some talks in YouTube. I think it's not Latam, but Spain is using Twitch for doing some live conference. But yeah,
and that's another interesting thing I noticed too, is now, and I'm sure it's the same in the Spanish-speaking community as in the English-speaking community. And by the way, I have seen some folks here from Africa. Love to see you all here. Flutter's really been taking off in Africa, and it's great to see that it's creating opportunities there as well. And basically, now people in countries where they do understand English, but they can't get to a meeting in person, now they're attending all the same meetings. It doesn't matter if you're in the same city. It doesn't matter if you're in the same country. So now, let's say when they have a meeting in Spain, you guys can go to that meeting. And Diego, when you're having a meeting in Peru, someone in Mexico or in Spain or anywhere can sit in on this and learn from it. So that's really been a great thing that has actually opened up the meetings. And one of the things I've been thinking is that even when we do go back to live, we need to set up cameras. We need to have live feeds, but put a camera in a chair, right? And have a live feed of the whole meeting. Or, okay, maybe a camera in a chair wouldn't be very good because it'd be hard to read the slides.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. Yeah.
We're going to have to work that out eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is definitely going to be an evolution for these events. Because right now, before it was like, okay, we have events, whoever can come to the event is okay. But right now, like, people, if all of these events start to disappear from the web, it's gonna be not good for anyone, right? So, but yeah, Latin America have had different kind of issues, but I think Diego says all of them. We have been solving with YouTube, StreamYard. StreamYard having pretty use around all over the world. Was a pretty good business to have before when the pandemic started. So and there are tools. So many people says, okay, I want to start a YouTube channel. What do I have to do? Well, you have to create videos. So you don't have to do anything else, and that's good enough. Latin America was completely moves to this format, and yeah, that's it. I mean, we should try to keep this when everything gets back to in person. As you said, Scott, this is a way to go.
Nice. Couple things real quick. Let's see here. Can we talk more about Flutter Web? It's a big subject. Is there anything in particular you would like to talk about with Flutter Web? And here's a big one that I've been thinking about. Okay. When are we going to do the next hackathon?
I think last time was like this month, like 2 years ago, like in June. The hackathon
actually May or June. Yeah, no, we were due. We were due last month or this month, and I mean, it's like I said, Simon can barely even show up here, and it's getting harder and harder to find people who can come away from work. I'm lucky in that I'm working from home, so I can just put in some more hours on other days, or I can stay a little bit late, or I can start a little bit early. Like this morning, I got up early. So that's what allows me to be here. Not everyone has that. And the hackathon, you have no idea what goes into organizing that. The first one had 800 people. Wow. The second one had over 1,300 people. How do you organize that? How do you judge that?
I have no idea.
Who's going to judge all those entries?
It was like so the Flutterista awesome. Conference. Yeah. Flutteristas had to put in a lot of work for that conference.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. So I mean, we want to do one, absolutely. But the question is, how are we going to find the help?
Yeah.
To pull this off? Because anybody really who knows Flutter very well right now is working, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all put in a lot of time learning Flutter. And this is what we've all been waiting for. But like I said, it's reached the point. I know Simon's working 15-hour days right now. So it's nuts. I think Mariano is working 3 different jobs.
Yeah, he told me that. Yeah, I mean, this is an amazing idea, but we definitely will need so much more people to assist in this.
We need some independently wealthy person that can take time.
I wonder if we could get some help. I wonder if we can get some help from ecosystems.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. For those of you who don't know, please just let that skip, because if you think about it too much, then you might start rumors or something, and we don't want to do that. But everybody here, all these guys know what I mean. It's something in Google where we might be able to get a hand, I hope. And I'll talk to them about it, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Okay. Very hard to shift. So go, Randall.
Yeah, I want to call back just for a moment. I did look at GDG Community Dev, which is really only one place to find events that are being held remote. Has 24 events just before July 1st even that are tagged as Flutter events specifically. And I look at all those that I can. If the time zone is not something crazy early or late for me, I email them and say, do you want a GDE to sit in on the session? Is this going to, and also is this mostly going to be in English? Because English is still my primary language, Espanol, poco. But so eventually I hope to go to something all in Spanish and go, I don't understand any of this. No, I actually understand most of it eventually. But that's great. And I hope that doesn't go away. I hope one of the discussions in a lot of these places seems to center around having one in-person event and one virtual event every month, which would be great for people like me. I could drop in, every second week. Well, once a month. I just do the math simply. And that would be great. But really, you don't have to wait for a group in your area. You can surf that URL. You have to find the Flutter button, which is carefully hidden. You have to scroll with your fingers to the left. There's no scroll bar. You have to scroll with your fingers to the left on the list of tags, and Flutter is way over off the screen on the right. So be sure to do that. But yeah, that's how I've been finding all these wonderful places to go.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Just getting back a little bit to the Flutter Web question. Flutter Web, for desktop, I have been asked what's the main difference in between them, and the main difference is that you have a mouse. That's what I say is the main difference. It can go either way. It can grow as much as you can, well, as much as your screen and resolution can. So that's sort of the kind of the big difference in between behavior. But also, if you want to go there, there's some packages that is not going to be working for desktop or web. Some behavior like popovers, context menus. These are pretty different and hard to achieve. You need to manage differently. You have to be creating different kind of stuff. About navigating, Navigator 2.0, I think this Route API, the actual name is Route API for you call Navigator 2.0. You can use it. You need to add this and hook it to your stage management to change it. It's not that easy to manage. We have a talk a couple months back, and I told the ones that are working with this, like, it's pretty hard to use. It's like if you're gonna came and join it, oh yeah, where did you use API Route API on Navigator 2.0 in your development, is not gonna be straightforward. You're gonna have to look into it. So if you want to go to Flutter, I mean, it's 81 of us choose our poison, right? So you can use whatever you want. It's the main difference in between for regular mobile and Flutter web and desktop. There's going to be some widgets that are not going to be working, and you have a mouse. Now you have a pointer. You're going to have different behaviors. You want to select something. One of the coolest things that have been out this last month was the editor, the super editor. So this is pretty sweet. I have been looking into it, and you want to take a look. That's something new, something different, and you can also. This is an open source project, so you want to join there and help and improve this. You can join also.
It's also interesting in that the desktops versions of applications are actually sort of more UI like web, but it uses Dart.io instead of Dart HTML, which has its own can of dividing the world along a different axis, which is sort of interesting to try to build really good cross-platform applications. And it also has to be responsive, but that's all. That's another hour conversation. I'm not going to get started in that.
And regarding Navigator 2.0 versus Flutter, honestly, I would just use named routes. It's really, you can use named routes, no problem. You can actually use them as a URL to change your page. But the biggest thing that we always want to make clear is that we want to make web apps with Flutter. We don't want to try to make whole websites. It's unnecessary. It will cause the browser to download the entire Flutter app before displaying the first page, which is going to make for slow loading, and it's going to kill your SEO. So remember, Flutter produces a web app, not a website.
Although I still have dreams about a proof of concept set of technologies where the content for your multi-page display could be produced using a thin Flutter shell that would essentially be loading on demand, like Markdown or maybe extended Markdown from various REST calls after it starts up. So it would sort of look like just a much smarter browser from that perspective, with even bookmarkable marks and stuff. So I want to do that. I have a lot of great ideas, and that's probably not one of them, but I do want to try that and see just how far that goes.
Okay, we're going to be wrapping up here shortly. We've hit the just about the hour and a half mark, but I want to turn this over one more time to Diego and Argel, and what's on your mind? What did we not talk about that you guys were hoping to talk about?
Well, I thought that this talk will be in Spanish. So,
En español.
sí, en
Hey,
español.
I can take a break, man. You know what? I'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
No. Argel has something.
I mean, this is a hard topic always to talk, and I have seen like I had saying this over Twitter, and some people get like mad about this. But people want to pay and all this salary, the payment of for Latin America. I know they are not going to be paying the same that the United States, but it's wrong when people in the United States pay by geography, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is wrong because you're taking the same skills that you are looking for. I'm not saying you're gonna have pay the full amount because it could be like that's why you're looking someone outside, right? But one thing is not paying that much. Let's say just for right now, you don't want to pay 100K,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay, but don't move it to pay 12K. So this is 90, 88 gap in between it. So it's as good as other developers. It's just in different geographic points. So calculate a good salary for these people, for all the people in Latin America. I mean these people because I literally told my boss, I'm not gonna be paid by geography. If you want to do that, you can go and find another one.
Yeah, 100K pesos wouldn't be that much.
No. But I for
dollars.
United States.
I presume dollars. Yes.
Yeah.
How do I mute Randall? How do I mute him?
Yeah. So I just saying this because a lot of people from all places, Europe and United States, going to be watching this. I hope.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to pay this 100K US dollars. It's not about that. It's just paying properly. Don't right. Abuse of that because people need to be working. People are gonna say yes because they need to, eat. But you need to be more clear about this. It's not that I'm saying you have to pay the full as he's working. Mm-hmm. He or she is working in the United States. I'm saying it's gonna be a good salary. And that's it.
And there are a couple of things. One that's always bothered me is when people are taken advantage of in like Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, India. And what ends up happening is that takes away jobs that people in America and Europe could also be getting. So, but up until now, there's really been no choice because there wasn't enough work. We're reaching a point, hopefully, where people in the countries that are underpaid can start saying, no, I'm going to find something better. And it's going to force the greedy. I mean, it's just greed at some point when they really try to go that cheap. When they're trying to pay someone 75 cents a day. And yes, there are some places, and I'm not even going to mention it, because that's just, no, I don't want to go there. But there are some countries where people make less than $1 a day. And it's ridiculous. But the other thing, too, is if you're a U.S. employer or if you're a European employer, you should be happy to be able to get the best of both worlds because you should be able to get a fantastic professional Flutter developer. And if you pay $80,000 US dollars per year on a contract basis, 1099, you are getting out of paying a lot of benefits. And benefits are usually about 30% of total salary, which means if you're paying $80,000 cash, you're getting out of $25,000. You're saving right there. Okay. And also you would have to probably pay an American $100,000 plus benefits. So you're going from $130,000 costs to $80,000 cost. And you should be thrilled with that. You shouldn't be trying to find somebody who you can pay $3 a day. And as was mentioned in chat, the average salary right now for a Flutter developer in India is $1,200 US dollars a month, and that is just pathetic. I mean, it's obscene. So That's $14,400 a year. I mean, are you kidding me? So hopefully we'll have enough jobs here soon, contract jobs, that people in India will be able to turn around and say, no, there's better out there, and I'm going to take the better money.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I was saying this. It's exactly that. It's not that I am saying you have to pay the same amount. No, it's just to pay good. I mean,
if you pay $80,000 cash, you're saving $50,000 US over hiring an employee, what we call W-2, where you have to provide benefits. Whereas in the US, they know what I'm talking about, 1099, which means you work for yourself and you are responsible for your own retirement money and your own insurance and all of that stuff.
Yep.
So that's a huge savings. Take that money and be happy.
I would like to also address something that might not be immediately obvious here. One of the ways to get more demand from the communities for Flutter is to have a really good ecosystem, to have things like Discord and Stack Overflow where people get their questions answered. So if you have the ability to contribute, please take a little time, even just a little time each day is going to help all of us out. You know something that I don't. I can guarantee you that always. And if I ask a question somewhere, which I do, post questions as well as post answers, I would hope somebody out there happens to notice it. So please participate in our ecosystem support system, because with that rising tide, all boats will be lifted.
Mm-hmm. Y si hablas español, these guys can always use some help doing translations.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So thank you just for giving this time too, because this is an important topic. Sometimes in many places they just avoid these kind of topics, but this is a reality. It's a reality check just for all of us. So as you said, so people in India is earning that amount, and they have family. Even though they can change this for their I don't know what's the name of the coin either. It can sounds like not much, but when you see it I don't know if I can live with that amount of money, because only my house, my car, and that's enough. So, just thank you for giving the time to talk about it.
Hey, no problem.
Yes.
Okay, Diego, are you over there playing Tetris or?
He's still thinking about state management.
Yeah. Are we returning to the state management topic? I'm not sure.
Get us?
Well, I saw you were talking about the contracts and the payment and that kind of stuff. And I can remember I received an offer a lot of months ago from a U.S. San Francisco startup company. They offered me like $15 per hour, and of course I rejected that.
Serious? Oh my God!
Silicon Valley, San Francisco.
That's pathetic. I mean, those people spend more than $15 a day on parking.
Yeah.
On lunch.
Yeah. I mean, literally, easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
I have been there. It's so expensive.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's. I mean, I'm not going to turn this into a commercial or anything, but one of the things that I say when I talk about CI/CD is continuous integration, continuous delivery. You look around at all these companies that are doing it. Don't tell me you can't afford it, because I happen to know a company where you can pay $40 a month to be running one build at a time, right? And if you are a solo developer, then you better be charging $40 an hour minimum, hopefully more than that. So how can you say that you can't afford CI/CD when it costs like less than an hour's worth of your billing for an entire month worth of service?
Yeah.
So, and the company in San Francisco wanted to pay. It's what we call usury, basically. And it's really companies like that. Those job descriptions and those offers should be shared amongst all the Slacks. Yeah, good luck getting a developer then.
Yeah.
Already, we have been at it for a little bit over an hour and a half. And fortunately, we all have day jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we need to go do the things that we're getting paid to do.
Yep.
Or, as I say,
hear questions. I hear questions on Stack Overflow right now. I've got to go answer them. Discord. I just saw a question on Discord go by.
Well, you know what? If we don't stop at some point and get back to paying work, my dog is going to starve.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And, my dog likes her food. So
we're going to try to get this back on the weekly schedule. We had to take a couple weeks off because we got crazy busy. So we're going to try to
everybody's
dial
still
it back.
crazy busy.
We're going to hope to make time.
I have not forgotten about trying to put together a state management roundup, but considering how busy just about everyone is, you can imagine how slammed the people who are famous for writing the state management projects are. I mean, good luck trying to pry all of them out of their work at the same time on the same day.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I don't even. Yeah, I don't know when we can get them here. That's the big problem.
Yes,
because we're talking about Brian Egan and Remy and Johnny and Thomas. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So,
if I'm not tipping our hand just a little too much, I'm sure Scott will kill me right after the show if necessary. But we're actually looking. Yes, we're actually looking at doing more shows like this, where we're going to bring in regional GDEs, to talk about what's happening in their communities. And just like you guys, you were the guinea pig, the pilot for this. So thanks for coming on today for that. And we hope to do more shows like this. So.
And if we get enough notice, we may even have them do things with coding, because we have not forgotten about getting coding. But again, that takes time to prepare. And it's wonderful that Flutter has gotten busy.
Yeah.
But it's really putting a crunch. If you've noticed that there's been a slowdown in Flutter Community Medium, Nash right now is working 12 to 14 hours a day. They promoted him into management. And he is living in meeting hell.
Sorry, Nash.
So that's I think out of a 10 to 12 hour day, he gets 2 hours that are not in meetings.
Yeah.
By the way, Nash, even though he's speaking English and everything, is on our region for GDEs.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yep.
Nash is from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
That's far enough south. Far enough south. That's
however, no se habla.
I know, no. Hey, yeah.
Nash barely speaks English. No, I'm kidding. Nash only speaks English.
Yeah, only speaks English.
We tease him about that. He could swim to Venezuela.
Yeah, but
you can see it from Trinidad.
Yeah, they are. There's people like Brazil. They also do not speak Spanish. I mean, we have places in here that they do not speak Spanish. So, I get it.
Yeah, Brazil's like 51% of the population, so actually it's slightly more Portuguese than Spanish down south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, once again, we're going to travel back in time to May 12th. And with that, I really, really appreciate you guys coming. Looks like we're stopping just in time for my lawn maintenance crew to come.
Okay. Cool.
And, yep. Thanks
Hopefully
for coming.
see you all next week. We'll be here or try to be here.
Bye.
See ya.